All right, so today we have a review for the test that we're about to take, and we're going to get started with that. So, your sub can go ahead and pause this video at any point. The nice thing about video is that we can rewind and watch parts of it again if there's something that we had questions about. I will do my very best to be very thorough in my explanations, and so hopefully this ends up working out well for you. So first we've got a table of values, and we're asked to enter an equation in the form y equals mx plus b that represents that function. And so what we've got to do first is figure out what our y-intercept or what our slope is going to be. So here it looks like we're increasing by 2's all the way up. And on the left, it looks like we are increasing by 4's all the way up. And so our slope is going to be 2 over 4, or 1/2, because 2 over 4 simplifies to be 1/2, and those are both, they're equivalent, and so they both work. The tricky piece for this one is we don't know what our zero value is. And so there's a couple of different ways to find our zero value. One is to notice that 0 would fall right between -2 and 2. And so I would have to find the number that would fall between 4 and 6, which would be 5. And so that's one way, because this table is fairly easy to figure that out. Another way to find our zero value, and I'm not sure if Miss Garcia has shown you this, is to take things that we know, put them into the equation, and then use that to find the y-intercept. And so one way we could do that is to say y equals mx plus b. And in this case, we would be looking for b. We would be trying to find the y-intercept. And the crazy thing here is I can select any x value or any y value. So I'll just use the first one. I'll put my y value in. I know the slope is 1/2. I'll put the x value in. And you'll see that the only variable that I have left is b. If this is something that Ms. Garcia has not shown you, don't worry, you don't have to use this. This is just another way, besides kind of using the table and the pattern in the table, to figure out what the y-intercept is. So again, the way that I did this was I basically used y equals mx plus b, put in one ordered pair that I chose from the table, and then put the slope in, and the only variable that's left is b. So I could solve this for b. So 1/2 times -6 is -3 plus b. Since I have a -3 on the right side there, I need to add 3 to both sides to get b by itself. And I would get 2 plus 3 is 5 is equal to b. So two different ways to figure out what the y-intercept is for this one, just kind of using the pattern in the table, or using the equation to solve for b. And so now that we have our slope and we have our y-intercept, we can write the equation. So we've got y equals 1/2 x plus 5 is what our equation is going to be for that one. Feel free to pause, rewind, or stop and talk as a class about the first one. We're going to move on to the next one. So we've got a graph here on this one, and we are just supposed to write an equation. So this one's a little bit easier than the table, since we can see what the y-intercept is right there. It's at -2. And we need to find corners that are perfect corners. And so if I follow the line kind of up and to the left, I land right there on a perfect corner. And so to get the slope, we go from left to right. I need to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I went down 5, which is -5, and to the right 4, which is a +4. So our slope is going to be -5 over 4. And we can see that our y-intercept, looking at the graph, is going to be -2. So using that information, we'll construct an equation for this. So we will say y equals m is the slope, so -5 over 4, x plus b, or the y-intercept, which is in -2. And you can write it like that. That's okay. There is a little bit of weirdness there since it's a plus and minus in the middle. And we can say or y equals -5/4x minus 2. Both of those are the same. They're equivalent. Some math teachers are really picky about not writing a plus and a minus sign next to each other like that. But I'm not too worried about it. So that being said, everyone, that's number 1 and 2. If we need to pause and talk about this as a class, feel free to do that now. I'm going to move on. So we've got Edgar is walking home from school. He is walking at a pace, he is walking at a pace of 2 yards per second and is 450 yards away from his house now. We need to enter an equation that represents the distance from his house after x seconds. And so we are going to have y equals mx plus b. And so what we've got is y is going to be the distance from his house. We don't know what that is. M is the slope. That's how much it's changing by. It's 2 yards per second, and he's getting closer to his house. So the distance between him and his house is going to be -2 because it's decreasing by 2 yards every second. And we've got our x, and our y-intercept is the initial value, or how far away he is right now. He is 450 yards away. So -2x plus 450, because again, the positive 450 means he is 450 yards away. The -2 means that he is getting 2 yards closer every second. Okay, and go ahead and pause on that one if you need some time to talk about it. And then last, we've got Emily babysat her neighbor's kids for the weekend. An equation that models the amount of money Emily made is y equals 10x plus 30, where x is the number of hours babysitting and y is the total amount of money made. Which of the following descriptions accurately describes the meaning of the equation? And so before we get into looking at these descriptions, let's make some sense of it ourselves. We've got y equals 10x plus 30. So this 30 is the initial value. Maybe Emily charges $30 or whatever right out of the gate so that she can buy some pizza and some pop for the kids or something like that. Or maybe she just says, hey, I don't care how many hours you want me to work. I'm going to charge you $30. You're going to pay that $30 no matter what. So that's a flat fee that Emily charges to even do the babysitting. Then if we look here at the 10, we can see that's our rate of change. And so that means that every hour that Emily babysits, she's going to charge $10. And so for the first hour, it's going to be $30 for the initial fee plus 10. So for 1 hour of babysitting is going to cost them $40. The next hour is going to be $10 more, so $50. The next hour is $10 more, so $60. Okay, so let's look at our description. Emily charges $30 per hour. That part is not correct. So since that part is not correct, the whole statement is not correct. Emily charges $10 per hour, not $30. It costs $3 per hour for babysitting because 30 divided by 10 is 3. Well, 30 divided by 10 is 3, but it is not $3 per hour for babysitting. We can see by our rate of change that it is $10 per hour for babysitting. There is an initial fee of $30, yes, and then Emily charges $10 per hour, so I think that C is correct. We're going to check D just to make sure. Babysitting costs $40 because 10 plus 30 equals 40. Well, 10 plus 30 is 40, but babysitting does not cost $40 all the time. Babysitting costs $40 only for 1 hour. If it's 2 hours, then it's 50. If it's 3 hours, then it's 60. So babysitting does not cost $40 all the time. It's dependent upon how many hours Emily babysits. So in our case, for this one, everyone, it is C. With that, I hope this video has been helpful, and I hope you do really well on your test.